Hi everyone, so this is day 22 and today we're going to be talking about imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is the belief that I don't really deserve to be here, or soon people will find out that I'm not capable enough, or I'm only here because of luck or grace and I don't deserve to be here, or I didn't earn it. Imposter syndrome is not a lack of competence, but instead a disconnect between reality and self-perception. And so what that looks like is that sometimes you may actually be growing, you may even actually be succeeding, depending on what success looks to you. You still feel like you're a fraud just because you don't think that you're earned or you deserve the space or the opportunity that you are currently occupying. And so this imposter syndrome is something that we see in the lives of people that are both growing, and also maybe even more commonly in the lives of people that have attained some certain heights. There are two main things that imposter syndrome does that makes it very, very dangerous. The first one is it makes people to downplay their gifts and their contributions in certain places, right? And so this is because they feel like they don't deserve to talk, or they don't deserve to engage or contribute in this kind of space, even if they are positioned to, or they are in the position where they have to, right? So, but for some reason, they feel like no, they just can't. They don't think so. Sometimes it may look like humility, but it's actually false humility. It's just imposter syndrome, that you do not acknowledge your gift well enough, or you do not see the value of your gift well enough and consider it worthy to actually share or actually contribute in that space. So it's not humility, it's just you're just having a very low sense of worth, right, when it comes to communicating your gift or contributing in a particular space, right? And then the second thing it does is that it makes people to avoid opportunities that stretch them, right? So it's like if they're in a particular place, it makes them feel safe and comfortable in that space, not wanting to stretch even more, right? While that may seem like a very content thing, right, it's very dangerous, right? Because it keeps you at a particular level. It keeps you stagnant even when you should have gone past a particular level, right? So so people that are usually in this trap, they usually think, what if I'm not good enough for the next level? Even if they are, and even if they are even over good, they say, what if I don't deserve it, or I don't deserve to be there, or I didn't earn it, and things like that. And so you notice that imposter syndrome is caused by a lot of things, right? One is a low sense of worth or value of yourself, or your gift, or your contribution, or your skills, right? So many people really downplay what they have to contribute. So one of the common causes of imposter syndrome is external validation, right? Depending on external validation. So what that looks like is, let's say you're in a particular position, state, or journey, right? And in that place, you're currently thriving on applause, currently thriving on people acknowledging, recognizing you. And so when an opportunity comes for a new level or greater or something different, or maybe even better, right? Your mind tends to withdraw to this current position where you're receiving applause and all of that. And that's because perhaps this new position, it will take you a while for you to build that kind of repetition again, to get that kind of attention again, to get that kind of applause again. And so that silence, is going to be very weird for you, and maybe even more than weird. It's going to feel uncommon to you. And so the way your mind is, it will just make you to just stay back in the place where you're already familiar with. So in imposter syndrome, this external validation thing, right, it restricts you from actually entering new spaces, doing new things, new opportunities, embracing them. It really restrains one. Now another one is perfectionism, right? Many people, or everyone, many people often want to show up perfect, right? It's almost as if they believe that they have to be perfect all the time. Like they shouldn't be seen learning or growing. If they're given a task, they should just know how to do it and do it well and do it perfectly. They shouldn't be seen as anything less than perfect, right? And so while this may be a good thing, but then it becomes a bad thing when you receive a feedback, or when you can't even begin to learn new things or embrace new things just because you're not perfect already. So learning new things may look like a drag to you because you just want to do what you already know how to do, because that is where the most comforting feeling comes from. So you trying new things, learning new things, it's that part, right? It's not really perfect. So because of this imposter syndrome, one of two things will happen. But one is either you continue to stall or you continue to stick with that one thing that you're perfect in. So some people could just be like a natural talent. They just want to stick there because that is where they are most comfortable with, or that is what they can do perfectly. And so they do not want to engage in other things, not because they can't, not because they desire to, but because them engaging in other things will require them to learn a lot more, right? Which is, and that part of learning is not so perfect, so they rather not engage. Or sometimes instead of them engaging and practicing at the same time, right, they would wait until they have learned everything that could be learned before showing up, and that's also dangerous, whichever way you want to look at it. So one of the ways to deal with imposter syndrome is, first of all, to normalize learning publicly, right? Like I was trying to explain when we talk about perfectionism, that many people do not like to be seen learning or growing. They feel like that's an average sport, right? You should have figured out everything before you get there. So if they find themselves in a space where they are not perfect or where they don't know everything yet, they tend to withdraw. Not because they cannot learn, but they just don't want to be seen learning. They want to always be seen on guard. They want to always be seen, perfect. And that's an issue. So you have to learn how to normalize learning publicly, learning as you grow, right? Because all of this is a journey. You can't know everything at once. So there are some things that you have to learn step by step. And when you get to a particular space or position, nobody expects you. Yes, you should have some level of qualifications, right? But even there, you still have to be growing if you must, retain that position or get to a higher position. So there's always a space for growth, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You shouldn't be ashamed of saying that you don't know something and you want to know it. You shouldn't be ashamed of asking people for help, right? Or not understanding something at the first glance. And so another thing is dealing with this false humility, right? And so you get into a space, maybe a new opportunity, and the first thing that comes to your mind is, who am I? Right? I think you should change that to, why not me? Right? And this is not a sense of pride or arrogance. It's just you acknowledging, what you know, acknowledging your words, acknowledging your contribution, acknowledging, the gift, your value, right? So why not me? Right? Why not me? Not who am I all the time. I mean, you can say that if it's actually the true sense of acknowledging how you got there, but not as false humility. So you need to learn when it is false humility or actually true acknowledgement. And finally, you have to detach your words of value from external applause, validation, because you won't get that all the time. You won't get that all the time. And mind you, once your mind begins to keep you at a particular level where you are currently receiving all of that, right, time will come where those things won't. It will change, things will change, people will change, right? People will probably see someone else that is better than you. And because you've not grown, you've just been satisfied with where you are, you won't be getting that applause anymore. And so they'll leave you and go to someone else who's actually growing and doing something, maybe more creative or better than you are doing. Learn not to depend on external validation. Be anchored to your truth, right? Know your words, know your value, know your contributions, and acknowledge that you're actually significant. You're not insignificant, right? You're significant. And even if you're not qualified for a particular opportunity, the opportunity has qualified you, and so act like it, right? If you are not qualified for a particular job or post or role, the role has qualified you. So it's there for you now to grow into it. It's there for you now to acknowledge it, see how you can contribute value there, and not for you to run away because you're not perfect there yet or you don't deserve it. Alright guys, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.